Ladies and gentlemen, the big news is that Charlie Sheen is going on this show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that he is asking for a meeting with President Barack Obama. The 20 minutes with the president is a way to make it interesting for people to read it and envision what that meeting would be like. And Jaron, one of the producers here, who also helps run the show with Paul Hartman in there, Jaron Neihart, just real fast during the break, he really crystallized it. Repeat what you said.
Yeah, well, I was talking about, because that last caller, what he had said, he was disappointed after he got to the end of that piece. And I was suggesting this morning, I read it for the first time, didn't have any idea what it was about. But the beauty of that piece to me was that as you were reading it, you could visualize the meeting. And while you're reading that piece, you get the evidence. You see the evidence presented to Obama as you're visualizing it. That's why I just...
And that's what Charlie said to me. He said, I have an idea of like a letter to the president, but like it's a meeting, visualizing a meeting I really want to have. And that's only a platform when the media ask him to say, yeah, I really want this meeting. These are the facts. It was because you can't get people to read a 16-page report of bullet points and links, but they will read it if it's in the context of something interesting.
Yeah, it was theater of the mind, basically. And as I was reading that, I really felt like I was looking in on that meeting, and then I saw the evidence presented. He mentioned the painstaking research that was done for what he was presenting.
And then he gives him the folders, and you have the links to those folders.
Exactly.
And see, I hadn't really articulated that yet today, but that's exactly what Charlie said. So when you said it, I was like, that's exactly what Charlie's idea was. But that's only the platform to get the real meeting. So I want people to call the White House and say, Obama, don't run from Charlie Sheen, meet with him. But then other people can meet with their politicians. That's what he's calling for in this.
Absolutely.
Jaron, thank you so much.
No problem, man.
All right, I want to continue with some of your phone calls and then recap some of the other top news stories and read some of the 20 bullet points. In fact, before I run out of time, we're going to go to Matthew, Gary, Steve, Michael, Michelle, and others here in just a few minutes. But I want to read from 20 Minutes with the President. I want to read some of the 20 bullet points that Charlie Sheen would like to make to the president in person. Okay, so it says, thank you, Mr. President. Okay, first, on the FBI most wanted list, Osama bin Laden is not charged or listed with the crimes of 9/11. When I called the FBI to ask them why this was the case, they replied, there's not enough evidence to link bin Laden to the crime scene. I later discovered he had never even been indicted by the Department of Justice, though he was for, I would just add, for the Tanzania bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, and, of course, for the USS Cole. See, and we have links to the FBI's own admissions. Number two, FBI translator Sybil Edmonds was dismissed and gagged by the DOJ after she revealed that the government had foreknowledge of the plans to attack American cities using planes as bombs as early as April 2001. Remember, Bush lied and said that wasn't the case, but later it came out. In August of 2009, Mrs. Edmonds broke the federal gag order and testified under oath that Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban were all working for and with the CIA up until the day of 9/11. Number three, the following is a quote from Mayor Giuliani during an interview on 911 with Peter Jennings for ABC News. I went down to the scene and we set up a headquarters at 75 Barclay Street. I'm quoting Mayor Giuliani. Quote, I went down to the scene and we set up headquarters at 75 Barclay Street, which was right there with the police commissioner, the fire commissioner, the head of emergency management. And we were operating out of there when we were told that the World Trade Center was going to collapse. And it did collapse before we could actually get out of the building. So we were trapped in the building for 10 or 15 minutes and finally found an exit and got out and walked north and took a lot of people with us. Who told him this? Charlie Sheen says, to this day, the question remains unanswered, completely ignored, and emphatically denied by Mayor Giuliani on several public occasions. Even though there's all these videos and audios of him on ABC News and CBS saying the exact same thing. So there you have it. Number four, Charlie Sheen. Number four, in April 2004, USA Today reported in the 2 years before September 11th, the North American Air Defense Command conducted exercises simulating what the White House says was unimaginable at the time. Hijacked airliners used as weapons to crash into targets and cause mass casualties. One of the targets was the World Trade Center. Charlie Sheen. Number five, On September 12, 2007, CNN's Anderson Cooper 360 reported that the mysterious white plane, spotted and videotaped by multiple media outlets, flying in restricted airspace over the White House shortly before 10 a.m. on the morning of 9/11, was in fact the Air Force's E-4B, a specially modified Boeing 747 with a communications pod behind the cockpit, otherwise known as the Doomsday Plane. And there's links to all these reports, to Giuliani, to CNN, to Anderson Cooper. Though fully aware of the event, the 9/11 Commission deemed the appearance of the military plane to not be of any interest and did not include it in the final 9/11 Commission report. By the way, it was over D.C. and New York. They got 5 of them when all other planes are grounded. Number 6, 3 F-16s assigned to Andrews Air Force Base, 10 miles from D.C., were conducting training exercises in North Carolina, 207 miles away, as the first planes crashed into the World Trade Center. Even at significantly less than their top speeds of 1,500 miles per hour, they could still have defended the skies over Washington well before 9 a.m., more than 37 minutes before Flight 77 crashed in the Pentagon. However, they did not return until after 9:55 a.m. Andrews Air Force Base had no armed fighters on alert and ready to take off on that morning of 9/11. Charlie Sheen, number 7, WTC Building 7. Watch the video of its collapse. And we have a link to that and a whole page on that. Number 8, Flight 93 is the 4th plane to crash on 9/11 at 10:03 a.m. Vice President Cheney only gives shoot-down orders at 10 to 10:20 a.m., and this is not communicated to NORAD until 28 minutes after Flight 93 crashes. Further fueling suspicion on this front is the fact that 3 months before the 9/11 attacks, Dick Cheney usurped control of NORAD, and therefore he and no one else on planet Earth had the power to call for military sorties on the hijacked airliners on 9/11. He did not exercise that power. 3 months after 9/11, he relinquished command of NORAD and returned it to military operation. And then we have links to that. Hold on one second. I got to take this phone call. Hey, my friend, on the air. Hey. No. We're talking. Hey, I tell you what, guys. I'm going to talk to Charlie because I know this is an important call. Go to the older interview for just a minute or two, okay? I'll be right back, folks. Charlie, there's so many facets of 9/11, but what about WTC-7? I mean, it wasn't even hit by a building. 47-story structure, has 2 small fires in it. A modern steel building that never collapsed from fire. The Madrid fire last year, it burned for 2 days with 150 something foot wide hot flames, and nothing collapsed there. What happened with Building 7, in your opinion?
Well, curious, isn't it? It's a little bit curious. It just seems odd that an event, something that we all witnessed, because September 11th wasn't the Zapruder film, it was the Zapruder Film Festival, okay? And I think that what was the great Hoover quote about the bigger the lie, the easier it is to pass over on people?
Yes.